I've seen plenty of ridiculous arrest warrants in my career, but nothing like this. A flimsy red piece of paper, no legal case number, no official seal, just a sloppy signature scrawled in black ink. Karen, HOA president. And get this, it demanded the arrest of the state attorney general. Me. It was pinned to my windshield like a pizza flyer, with a line below it in bold marker, for refusing to mow the lawn per community aesthetic guidelines. I stood there in my driveway, still in my suit from a grueling court hearing, staring at this warrant in disbelief. I'd just spent the day upholding justice for an entire state, and now I'm being arrested by an HOA Karen? I'm Marcus Lang, the Attorney General of Rockland, the top law enforcement officer in the state. I've taken down crime syndicates, prosecuted corrupt officials, and fought for justice in the highest courts. But I've never seen a legal punch thrown from a pink pastel clipboard until now. I couldn't help but laugh, a deep, incredulous chuckle, as I held the paper, its edges curling in the breeze. But then I glanced over at my 10-year-old son, Eli, standing in the yard, his big brown eyes wide with fear as he clutched his soccer ball. "Dad, are you in trouble?" he whispered, his voice trembling. That's when the laughter stopped. My blood turned to ice. This wasn't just a petty HOA stunt anymore. It was a threat to my family, my peace, my pride. Karen Whitmore, the HOA president with a clipboard and a vendetta, thought she could intimidate me with a handwritten arrest order. She had no idea who she was dealing with. This wasn't just about me. It was about justice, about a father protecting his son's innocence. What happens when an HOA Karen picks a fight with the wrong guy? You're about to see a showdown that'll leave her wishing she'd never picked up that marker. My name's Marcus Lang, 47 years old, and I'm the State Attorney General of Rockland. For over 2 decades, I've been in the trenches of law enforcement, first as a prosecutor, then climbing the ranks to become the top legal authority in the state. I've dismantled organized crime rings, put away corrupt politicians, and fought for victims who thought justice was out of reach. But when I come home, none of that matters. At home, I'm just a dad, a widower trying to give my 10-year-old son, Eli, the peaceful childhood he deserves after losing his mom to cancer 3 years ago. That's why I moved us to Whispering Oaks, a quiet suburb with tree-lined streets, chirping crickets, and the faint smell of apple pie from neighbors' kitchens. I thought it'd be a safe haven, a place where Eli could grow up without the weight of the world I'd spent my career fighting. But Whispering Oaks had a catch I didn't see coming. HOA Karen. Karen Whitmore, the HOA president, runs this neighborhood like it's her personal fiefdom. From the moment we moved in, she targeted us. First week, I got a fine for flying the state flag too high. Then came citations for parking too close to the curb, and a watering can that disrupts the aesthetic. The list grew. Petty, made-up rules only one person enforced. Karen, with her clipboard always at the ready, her collared shirts pressed to perfection, her pen tucked into her belt like a sheriff's gun. She wasn't just annoying. She was a tyrant, turning a once-friendly community into her personal playground of control. One evening, Eli looked up at me, his voice small and guilty. "Dad, when can we live somewhere no one yells at you?" he asked, his eyes searching mine for an answer I didn't have. I'd spent my career stopping criminals, but I hadn't stopped Karen. If no one stood up to her, Whispering Oaks wouldn't just be my problem. It'd be a prison for everyone here, trapped under the thumb of a clipboard dictator. That red paper on my windshield wasn't just an attack on me. It was a call to fight back. It was a crisp Friday morning in Whispering Oaks, the kind of day where the sky's a perfect blue and a light breeze rustles the leaves. I was sipping coffee on my porch, still in my suit from yesterday's court hearing, when a white unmarked van rolled up and parked right in front of my house. 3 men stepped out, dressed in black jackets and cheap sunglasses, looking like they'd just walked off the set of a low-budget action flick. One of them held a clipboard, raising a sheet of paper like it was a golden ticket. "Eviction order issued by the HOA," he announced, his voice flat. "You failed to comply with summer orange garden flower standards." I stared, dumbfounded. "Who are you guys?" I asked, setting my mug down. The leader adjusted his sunglasses, his expression blank. "HOA enforcement team. We have the authority to seize non-compliant property." I let out a sharp laugh, the absurdity hitting me like a tidal wave. "Do you even know what you're doing?" I said, my voice low but edged with disbelief. The guy shrugged, pointing to the paper. "We're just following orders." Signed by Karen herself. I glanced at the order. Another flimsy sheet with Karen's scrawled signature, no legal weight, just her name in bold like she was the queen of Whispering Oaks. My patience snapped. I turned back into the house, grabbed my badge, the one that says State Attorney General, in gold lettering, and slipped it around my neck. Then I pulled out my phone, already dialing my office. "All right," I said, stepping back onto the porch, my voice steady as steel. "Let's get some real law enforcement out here." The men froze, their smug faces faltering as they saw the badge glint in the sunlight, the weight of their mistake sinking in like a ton of bricks. Karen had gone too far, sending her goons to evict me over garden flowers? She thought she could intimidate the top law enforcement officer in the state with a clipboard and a van. This wasn't just a petty HOA stunt anymore. It was a direct challenge to justice itself. What happens when Karen's fake authority crashes into real power? You're about to find out. The news spread like wildfire, faster than a summer brush fire in Whispering Oaks. By noon, a photo of Karen's handwritten eviction order was plastered across Reddit and TikTok, racking up thousands of shares under the hashtag HOA Karen Law. Someone even turned it into a viral meme. When your HOA Karen tries to evict the Attorney General over garden flowers. A local news station ran a segment, complete with a dramatic reenactment of Karen ordering a tow for feng shui reasons, her clipboard photoshopped to cartoonish proportions. The internet was eating it up, and Whispering Oaks was suddenly the talk of the town, but not in the way Karen had hoped. She wasn't just the HOA president anymore. She was a full-blown internet villain, her reign of terror exposed for the world to see. The neighborhood group chats exploded with activity. Neighbors who'd been silent for years started speaking out, their stories pouring in like a flood. Mrs. Larson, a sweet 80-year-old widow, shared how Karen had fined her $200 for wind chimes emitting negative energy vibrations, threatening to evict her if she didn't pay up. A young couple down the street revealed they'd been slapped with a lawsuit threat for parking their red pickup truck, which Karen deemed a color clash with the community palette. Another family posted a photo of a $150 fine for excessive dandelion growth. It was one flower in their yard. The more people shared, the clearer it became. Karen wasn't just a control freak. She was a manipulator, using her fake rules to intimidate and extort anyone who didn't bow to her clipboard. I wasn't about to let this slide. While the internet roasted Karen, I got to work, channeling my years as a prosecutor. I saved screenshots of every viral post, recorded voicemails from Karen's enforcement team demanding compliance, and gathered statements from neighbors who'd been targeted. I called my team at the Attorney General's office, pulling in investigators to trace the towing company Karen used, a shady outfit with a history of illegal seizures, likely on her payroll. Every piece of evidence was a brick in the case I was building, not just for me, but for every resident she'd terrorized. Karen doubled down, her enforcement team, showing up in their unmarked vans, issuing more fines and threats. They towed a nurse's car for unapproved tire shine, and left a citation on a kid's bike for obstructing sidewalk aesthetics. The neighborhood was on edge, but the viral outrage gave people courage. They weren't afraid anymore. They were angry, and they were ready to fight back. I planned to take this to the next HOA meeting, where I'd lay out Karen's crimes for everyone to see. What happens when a viral uprising meets the state's top lawman with a badge and a mission? You're about to witness a reckoning that'll leave Karen's clipboard kingdom in ruins. As the media storm raged and hashtag HOA Karen Law trended across every platform, I dug deeper into Karen's reign of terror and uncovered a bombshell that made my prosecutor instincts kick into overdrive. Karen wasn't just a petty HOA dictator. She was gunning for a seat on the city council. I pulled her election filings from the public records database late one night, my coffee growing cold as I read through the details. Her campaign was funded by a shadowy account tied directly to the HOA's budget, money she'd collected from fines and fees, siphoned off without a single resident's consent. Karen wasn't just bullying neighbors with her clipboard. She was using their hard-earned cash to buy herself real political power, all while hiding behind her community standards facade. Every $50 fine for a dandelion, every $200 penalty for negative energy wind chimes, it was all fuel for her ambition, a slush fund built on the backs of Whispering Oaks. But the real kicker came when I got my hands on the HOA's security footage, the very cameras Karen had installed to monitor anti-community behavior. A tech-savvy neighbor, fed up with her antics, slipped me a USB drive with the recordings. One clip, timestamped the morning my arrest warrant appeared, showed Karen in all her glory, pacing the HOA office with a phone pressed to her ear. "Tow Rivera's car," she barked, her voice sharp as a whip. I want to teach him a lesson he'll never forget. She smirked, sipping her coffee, completely unaware that her own cameras were capturing every word, every sneer, every ounce of her vindictive glee. The system she'd built to control us had turned against her, exposing her cruelty in high definition. The footage was a game changer, and I knew it. I leaked the clip to the neighborhood group chat, and within hours it was everywhere. Reddit, TikTok, even local news picked it up. Comments flooded in. She's literally a cartoon villain. Karen's done. Her own cameras snitched. The internet dubbed her Clipboard Karen, and her smug face became the meme of the week. Neighbors who'd been silent for years started sharing their stories, emboldened by the proof of her malice. Karen thought she was untouchable, but her own tools had betrayed her, turning her into a public laughingstock. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about exposing a corrupt wannabe politician who'd abused her power to terrorize a whole community. What happens when an HOA Karen's own cameras turn her into the internet's biggest joke? You're about to see a showdown that'll leave her clipboard in the dust. The resident meeting at the Whispering Oaks Community Center was a powder keg waiting to blow. Karen stormed onto the stage, her gavel in hand, her collared shirt pressed to perfection as she gripped the microphone. "I demand Marcus Lang's residency be revoked," she bellowed, her voice shrill with indignation. "He's a threat to our community's harmony." The crowd murmured, some nodding out of fear, others shifting uncomfortably. Karen still thought she held all the power. But I was done playing her game. I stepped forward, no microphone, just a USB drive in one hand and a projector remote in the other. "I don't need to threaten you, Karen," I said, my voice calm but cutting through the room like a blade. "I just need to press play." I plugged in the USB, and the projector lit up with the security footage. Karen's voice filled the room. "Tow Rivera's car. I want to teach him a lesson." Then came the gut punch. "They won't sue. They're too scared of legal fees to even try." The crowd fell silent, the air heavy with shock, every eye locked on Karen as her own words echoed back at her. Then Mr. Thompson, a quiet mechanic who'd been fined for unapproved oil stains, stood up, his face red with fury. "You called us they?" he roared, pointing at her. "You think we're just sheep for you to fleece?" The room exploded, neighbors shouting, some clapping, others slamming their fists on tables as Karen's face drained of color, her gavel slipping to the floor with a pathetic thud. I didn't stop there. I projected more evidence. The election filings showing her campaign funded by HOA fines, bank records of her siphoning money, and a list of illegal tows she'd ordered, including mine. "This isn't a community," I said, my voice rising. "It's a racket." Karen stammered. "This is slander," but it was too late. I'd already called in the big guns. A city attorney and 3 state investigators walked in, badges gleaming. "Karen Whitmore, you're under arrest for fraud, abuse of power, and extortion," the lead investigator announced, cuffing her as the crowd cheered louder than ever. Ruth, Karen's longtime HOA assistant, threw down her clipboard, tears streaming. "You lied to us, Karen," she sobbed. "I trusted you, and you made us monsters." Karen's empire crumbled in real time, her humiliation sealed by the very people she'd controlled. The HOA's illegal operations were shut down on the spot, and Whispering Oaks finally exhaled. Justice wasn't just served, it was a public reckoning Karen would never forget. The fallout was swift and merciless. After Karen's public humiliation at the meeting, the city launched a full investigation into the HOA's operations, freezing their funds faster than a winter storm. Every fine, every fee, every shady transaction Karen had orchestrated was now under a microscope, her empire of clipboards crumbling like a house of cards. The gaudy HOA rules apply signs that had loomed over Whispering Oaks like a dictator's decree were torn down one by one, some by residents, others by city workers. Old Mr. Jenkins, an 80-year-old widower who'd been fined for his unapproved mailbox height, took down the biggest sign himself. With a grin, he used the very screwdriver Karen had once forced him to buy to meet HOA standards, unscrewing the bolts as neighbors cheered, the sound of freedom ringing through the air. Whispering Oaks exhaled for the first time in years. Kids rode bikes without fear of fines for excessive noise, and porches bloomed with colorful decorations Karen had once banned. The community came together, forming a new residents' council. No HOAs, just neighbors working side by side, their voices finally heard. The city backed the move, ensuring legal protections so no one like Karen could ever take over again. I watched it all unfold, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. This wasn't just about me or Eli, it was about every family she'd bullied, every neighbor she'd silenced. Karen faced a laundry list of charges: fraud, extortion, even conspiracy. Her days of terrorizing Whispering Oaks over for good. The neighborhood wasn't just free, it was alive again, a testament to what happens when people stand up to tyranny, clipboard or not. Karen vanished from Whispering Oaks as quietly as a shadow, her house sold in the dead of night, no forwarding address, no goodbyes. No one missed her. At the entrance to our neighborhood, a new wooden sign went up: Whispering Oaks, where real justice prevails, carved by the residents themselves, a quiet badge of their victory. The air felt lighter, the streets brighter, as kids played and neighbors waved, the scars of Karen's reign fading with every laugh. One evening, Eli and I sat on the porch, sharing a pint of chocolate ice cream as the crickets chirped around us. He looked up at me, his spoon dangling, and asked, "Dad, did we just win?" His eyes sparkled with a mix of pride and curiosity, the fear from that awful day long gone. I smiled, ruffling his hair. "Yeah, kid," I said, my voice warm. "A wrong arrest can spark a righteous revolution." And it all started with Karen and her clipboard. I leaned back, watching the stars twinkle above Whispering Oaks, a neighborhood reborn. I'd spent my career thinking justice lived in courtrooms, but now I knew. It can start on a quiet street, with a father's love and a community's courage. Ever had Karen try to run your life with fake rules? Drop your story in the comments. I want to hear how you fought back and won. If this wild showdown between an attorney general and an HOA Karen had you on the edge of your seat, smash that like button and share it with anyone who's battled a clipboard tyrant. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss more epic tales of justice, petty revenge, and community triumphs that'll leave you cheering. I want to hear from you in the comments. Ever had an HOA or a Karen try to arrest you with fake rules? Spill the tea. Your story might just inspire my next video, and I'd love to share it. Let's keep fighting for what's right together.